Hello, hello, hello. I am Lillian, the author expansion mentor. Welcome to the first layers of your IP universe. Today, we're going to go inside the building blocks of the Esther Chronicles. Because people often ask me what I mean when I say I help fiction authors build an IP universe instead of just a book. So I thought I'd show you. So if you've ever wondered what it actually looks like to build an IP universe, you are in the right place. Over the next few videos, I'm going to take you inside my creative process and share some of the pieces I've developed over the years, from character artwork, vision boards, TV treatments, sizzle reels, podcasts, and more. Not because every author needs these exact assets, but because each one helped me see my story more clearly, expand my vision, and begin building something much bigger than a manuscript. Because if you remember, the manuscript is just the seed. And the IP universe isn't something that you create after your book is successful. It's something you begin building the moment you give yourself permission to imagine your story as something bigger than a book. And that is what we do in the vision container, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end of the video. So let's get started. Just before I pop over to my character artwork, I want you to know that first of all, we're going to look at character art, and we explore things like why I commissioned it, what surprised me, how it changed my writing, because that's definitely something that happened. And seeing your artwork and seeing your vision come to life, come to life gives your imagination, something tangible to grab hold of. And how we build worlds, the detail in each character and place and location, and world in your worlds in depth is what gives people something to love. And if they come into your brand and they love your brand, then they don't want to leave. And that's brand loyalty. And through that brand loyalty, we build connection and engagement. And then we bridge to audiences that we build around each of our unique platforms. And then we bridge to opportunity and the people and resources that can make our dreams come true. So remember that each step is a bridge. And we don't do everything at once. We take it a step at a time, building out our IP universe around the seed, the manuscript. Let's get started. Let me introduce you to Alastor. Alastor is my agent provocateur, one of my main characters in book one, Black Moth. He's also a demon master, but he primarily inhabits Earth, or what I call light Earth. He very rarely goes to hell. I'll tell you a little bit about him and then I'll talk about the process and who did it. Alastor basically has become so accustomed to light Earth and our customs and traditions and worlds and cities and countries and people, art, culture, music, wine, food, beer. He really loves beer. And he's going through his own transformation. And things are changing for him. He was once hell's executioner, and he was once very bloody and very brutal. And he has, by his own admission, mellowed over the years, thankfully for all involved. Now, the plot essentially of book one happens around Alastor's plot to free his half-human son, Adair, from hell. Half-human, half-demon, otherwise known as a Cambion. a Cambion demon. And Esther, our protagonist, is unwittingly embroiled in their plot. So that's essentially the premise of the first book. And through that story, we meet a whole host of characters, of which he is one. Now, if you can look at Alastor, he's quite a different looking demon, and that is most definitely by design. So I commissioned George Evangelista, a Melbourne-based, just by coincidence, very, a renowned digital artist. And I didn't set out exactly to look for a digital artist. I did start by looking for graphic artists, and I'm pretty sure I used primarily the website ArtStation. I think that's what it's called. And it actually was a bit of a journey. Like, it was really quite difficult finding the right people. I did ideally want to work with an Australian. It was just even, more convenient that he was in Melbourne. Not that we ever met in person. We did everything online, so they certainly don't have to be in your home city. And, you know, undoubtedly I found the right person in George, and I was very happy with the work that we ultimately did together. But coming back to collaboration, it's really important that you allow whatever artist you collaborate with. Of course, I'm a musician, so music also informs a lot of my art and will be a big part of it moving forward. And I learned in, my music lifetime that you have to collaborate with your musicians. Like, just because I'm the singer-songwriter and I play guitar, and it was my band essentially, I really leaned on and trusted my musicians to come up with the building blocks for the songs, because I just presented, the melody, the lyrics, and me. And it was in the band that everything was built. And it's the same when we work with consultants in building out our IP universe. So, to make that process even smoother and better outcomes, I built vision boards. And I know a lot of artists or authors use vision boards. I have a very specific process with my vision board, because I'm thinking forward to the future, because of course I'm building an IP universe, and part of that, the ultimate, the North Star, the desire that started this entire process, is that I want my book to be the first ever big budget Australian TV show with a global audience on a streaming platform. Big budget, Australian story. And so I'm always thinking about that process. So everything I do is stepping towards that process. So I actually engineer it backwards. And so working with artists like George really helps, because I can see it. Like I said, it gives me something tangible to work with. By the time I get to that end game and that end goal, I know an aspect of almost every facet of my work, including who I do and don't want to work with, and what I do and don't want. Because if you don't, because my demon, if you can see him, he's very different. We'll talk about that in a moment, why he looks like that. I would run the risk of someone else swooping in and going and creating, red demons with big horns and, the bat wings and sharp teeth, and very, very different to what I envisioned. So let's talk a little bit about where my character comes from, because when you work like me and you work through my process, especially when we're layering the manuscript with using the passion matrix, we learn that detail is very important. And I wanted my Howl and the characters within it to be very much based or built upon cause and effect, because I wanted a solid foundation. I wanted elements in a world and people and characters that people could find believable for one way or another, because that kind of detail builds better worlds. And again, the more we can show people, the more they can fall in love with our brand and never want to leave, right? That's what an IP universe is. So my demons are, obviously, if you think about it, demons come from angels. Angels are often described as being made of light, incredibly powerful. We all know angels have a lot of powers and they can fly, etc., etc. So when I wrote a scene in my book, this is where it came from. I had light streaming from out of their mouths and their eyes and their bodies as they were flying through the air in this very um, pivotal scene that describes how a lot of things happened. It's a bit of a plot point, so I won't give away too much. Kind of power. I had a choice between solar or nuclear, and I used nuclear as a starting point that people could imagine the type of power that this cellular structure is made of. A being made of entirely of light, I guess when it was in dark for hundreds and thousands of years, would darken. Unlike us, who lighten, right? And so we turn white, we lose all the pigmentation and color in our skin and our hair. And so I wanted these beings who, in their bodily form, their skin had darkened to a dark bluey grey hue. And it's actually an impossible color to, really difficult to get, but we got as close as we could to it. I wanted them to keep their feathers, and at that point I'm going to just move into the next version of this piece, which is the PDF. So you can get a little bit better look at the detail. You can see there is oil stippled pearlescence in their feathers, which I really wanted. The horn-tipped wings. You can see all of the little red demon hands and creatures, reaching for him and grasping at him. That's entirely George, rather than having a black background. As a digital artist, he built that in, because I don't know if you know much about digital art, but they build it in layers on a computer. So, it's interesting to see the process of what these beans look like as they develop. And George also totally, what do you call these belts? This tool belt. It's not a tool belt. There's like a survival belt. There's another word for it. I can't remember what it is, but I'm sure a lot of you out there would know. That was George's idea. He added that to the imagery. And these are his bone medallions, which are actually made of teeth. And they are another detail in my world, because if you're going to build a whole entire world, especially of these kind of ancient creatures, there's going to be tradition. So the tradition behind the bone weavers, the bone medallions, is that they are their kills. Every time every kill they have in wars that are fought in ancient and different realms over many hundreds of thousands of years, they take a tooth, and it becomes part of the bone medallions. And the bone medallions are woven by the bone weavers, who are these insane demon hags that live in the subterranean caves of Eshamon, which is where my demon masters live. My hell has 3 parts: Eshamon, Hell City, and the Northern Wastelands. So and then an even deeper part of the wastelands called the Seep, but I don't want to give too much away there. The tattoos are entirely, again, George's design, but they do come from my world building, where, my hell has hieroglyphics. My hell has hell text, as I call it. I have an entire library in the center of Eshamon. And so hieroglyphics and patterns and things we use in hexes and spells and enchantments all over Eshamon and are engraved in his body. So that's another part of it. So there you go. Alastor, my demon master and agent provocateur. And just in case I haven't actually spoken a lot about what he does, I think I have. So on The other part of Alastor is when he's on Earth, he's not always in demon form, of course. He has shadow form and human form. So as an agent provocateur, he's got to present himself as a human as he's wooing his client. I mean, if he presented as his demon self, his 7 foot something demon in the first instance, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't get very far. So yeah, even though that does happen in the book. So that's Alastor. And this is the character art that I created with George Evangelista, using my vision boards as inspiration for George. So he knew what to, he had reference. Vision boards. If you work with me in the vision container, we use vision boards a lot. And I know a lot of writers do use vision boards, but I have a very specific process for my vision boards, one per character. And I share it with all of the artists that I collaborate with, and they have all loved them because it's a way to ensure that they understand what I'm thinking. Because if they just create something completely off the cuff, again, it's not really me staying true to my vision. And because I'm very detail oriented, and Pinterest is, I find, is the best way to build a vision board, because absolutely almost everything you ever wanted you could find in Pinterest. So I build out the vision boards, and we do that in the vision container because they are the basis for a lot of the visual work that we do. Now, when you create characters and you collaborate with other artists, some things happen that inform your characters and your writing that you could never have anticipated. And again, that's something that we work on in the vision container. And that becomes very prevalent with my character, Stacia, the Devil Queen, who we will be doing next. We'll be meeting next. So the first part of the series, we'll be meeting the different characters. And then we'll go on from there to move on to a whole heap of the different things that we built. The TV treatment, the animated sizzler, my podcast that I'm part of the way through recording. And I probably will start again, but we're still going to have a look at it because things have changed since then. And we're collaborating with artists to expand the world. That's what we're doing. So the vision board is super important. And that's it. I think I'm going to leave it there, so I don't want to bore you too much. However, what I will do, well, not that I'm boring you, I'm sure. I just want to quickly show you the vision container. If you work with me in the vision container, it's an 8-week container. Originally, I planned it only to be 6, and then I had realized you need the 8 weeks for the transformation, because as I talk about in the Writer's Shift of Abundance, it takes 56 days or 8 weeks to make that shift out of chasing and into receiving. In the vision container, we work on embodying our transformation, emotional alignment, and embodied vision through my transformational frameworks, the Circle of Inspiration, which again, if you keep an eye out for my Writer's Shift into Abundance free live events, this is what we talk about. So it all fits together, just like our vision container. You've got 8 weeks inside the container, group training sessions, vision, author brand development, private community and accountability, fortnightly coaching and implementation, passion matrix, manuscript layering frameworks, emotional alignment, transformation work, strategic positioning for real world opportunity. And they're all built on these 3 different modules here. And we have spaces left in the founder, the first 5, the founder positions. So it's 1997 paid in full or 222 in installments. Like secure your place. I think it only, let's have a look. I'm pretty sure it's like you can secure your place with $280. $280 you can secure your place in the vision container and work with me to do all this amazing, incredible work. So honestly, let's get started. What are you waiting for? Think about what it's costing you to not be working at this kind of level and continually chasing the submission process. think about how much time you are losing when you could be working with me to build out this greater vision, step by step, stage by stage. Nothing happens overnight. And if you want to continue working with me, where we actually start to build your podcasts and graphic novels and whatever else versions of your work that you want, then that's, you continue on to the Writer's Revolution 6-month long course. But this is the third option, the new way, a way more aligned, embodied path with your greater vision. And you just need the identity shift to believe that you are the person capable of carrying this. So I will see you on this other side. Keep an eye out for part 2, where we'll explore Stacia, my devil queen, and keep on checking my content out. Links, everything you need for my links are all in my link tree. I'll see you on the other side.